Great, Ngọc Yên.
Yes. Okay, so good morning, everyone. So today's I and my partner, Ngọc Thảo. So we will have a short presentation on the topic good work habit that our lecturers has given to us in previous class. So our presentations will have three main parts: the introduction, the three good work habits, and the last one is the conclusion. So if you have any questions, so please feel free to ask at the end of our presentations. We would be very appreciate that. So now let's begin. So in previous class, we already discussed about the definition of habits. So now I just want to remind you guys a little bit about this. So the definition of habits, what is it? So according to the Cambridge Dictionary, the habit is a thing or an act that you do often, almost without thinking, and it is difficult to stop doing. On the other hand, habit is defined in the Collins Dictionary as a usual ways of behaving, something that a person does often, regularly, repeatedly. So we can see that habits significantly influence our life because the good ones will bring positivities and help us enjoy our life better. On the contrary, the bad one just bring about negativities for an individual. So that's why habits are important, and work habits are even more important in our life. Okay, so let's see why good work habits are very crucial, are very necessary in our life. What does it help us in the workplace, or why? Let's see the reason. So good work habits is important because it's the way that you present yourself and conduct yourself at work. It will have an influence, a big impact on your performance, as well with though you interact at the workplace, your boss, your co-workers, your colleagues. And the last one is attributable to your reputation, right? It's the ways that people knows about you. So that's something that you may control and you may build up. So that's why it's important for an individual to build good work habits. So now let's see which are the good habits for work. Can anyone share with us your ideas about this question? Which do you think will be the good work habits for a person, an individual, a worker? Can anyone share your opinion? Thảo Linh, can you share with us your ideas about what are the good work habits?
I think the good work habit that the most necessary to me is go to work on time. That means you go to work on time and you submit the deadline on time.
Yes, I also agree with you. Punctuality, right? Be punctual at work is very important. Can anyone else give us your idea? Hoàng Yến, can you please?
Yes, I think one of good habits for work is that we have the good communication.
Yes, thank you for your opinion. Yes, good communications, because we have to communicate a lot in the workplace with your boss, with your workers. So that's also a very good point. Thank you, Yến. So actually, some people may argue that the habits for work is something that belongs to the personal style, the reference of an individual. However, actually, there are some basic, some fundamental habits that it is necessary for every individuals in any careers or industry. So in the following, our groups would like to point out 3 good work habits that we think it is crucial, vital for every career. So let's see what are they. Maybe there are a lot, but we just summarize the 3 basic ones. So the first one is be punctual. As I previously mentioned by Thảo Linh, yes, punctuality is very important because it will help you to, it's a wonderful trait of a person to want to be admired and respected. Next one, punctuality will display a person's respect for people and time. So you can see that in a schedule, appointments, or a meeting, the late comer usually gives an impression that he or she doesn't value his or her time or considers his or her time more important than that of the other. And this is extremely not good. So there's a very clear example is that you see that the candidates are never late for a job interview, right? It's a basic requisites for any person when they want to apply into any position. Be punctual at the interviews is very crucial. Next one, why punctual is important? Because it's one of the important factors that in evaluating, assessing your performance at the workplace, as well as the continued employment. So if you want to be taken seriously at work, you need to learn about punctualities, or in other words, timeliness. So if you show up on time in every meeting, both big or small, yes, the managers, your boss will have a second thought about you, and they may trust you with more important job, more important task. However, when you present late, you are at risk losing your possible promotions or assessment, and it will affect your opportunity a lot. And I think that no one here wants to just about punctualities that will affect almost the majority of your job and your performance at work. Last one, the punctualities help you to establish your reputation. So if you well known a dependable and responsible worker, the clients and customer can count on you for you to get the job finished, to get the job done. Furthermore, in an interdependent working environment, everything runs like a machine. You can see that, and being on time will assure your clients trust, belief in you to finish the job. Otherwise, they may find another companies to supply dentists instead of your. So that's very bad. So I can say that punctual is very crucial in every career. Some professionals such as lawyer, producers, or journalists or writers, you will have daily, weekly, and monthly meetings, deadlines. So timeliness will assure that you are a team-centered individual and you can all finish the task on time. So during the COVID-19 periods, many companies or organizations need to operate at home, and the workers have to work from home. So being punctual means being available at the office hours, logging into meetings punctually, and the last one is meeting the project deadline. So in conclusion, I would say that punctualities will illustrate your respect for the co-workers, which in turn you seek for from others. Next one is the team-centered goals, the readabilities, and the last one, it demonstrates your professionalism. So you can see that is very important. And in Vietnam, the talk chirp market has become very tough and competitive. So you don't want losing your jobs just because your boss considers that you are lazy or irresponsible, right? So I think getting up early, show up on time at work is something not really difficult to do. It's not impossible. It's just an easy task that you can reinforce your time management good well, so then you can achieve the punctuality. Okay, moving to the next discussion. So first, I have 3 questions for you guys to ask yourself. So the first one is, do you often feel overwhelmed about the amount of work that you have to do? The next one is, do you find yourself sometimes missing the deadlines? And the third question is, do you sometimes just forget something important is in your mind, but sometimes you just forget them, you don't remember, so that people have to chase you, have to remind you to get the job done? So unfortunately, if your answer is yes, so it seems like you don't have a rubber to-do list or checklist. But don't worry, because they are also very difficult questions for professional. So university lecturers and a psychologist, Wendy Wood, so in her academic career, she conducted a survey, and she noticed a trend that many professors and her graduate students are struggling to meeting the deadlines or the project plans. However, the talents, intelligence, or motivation didn't seem a matter with them. They just struggling to stick to the project plans and miss the deadlines was among the rises of the group. So this surveys did result her finding. When Wood findings has once more time illustrates the importance of a to-do list in work. So let's see the function of a to-do list, what makes it at the extent of this important, what makes it very necessary for work. So first one, what is a to-do list? So it's a prioritized list of all tasks that somebody needs to carry out, with the most important one on the top of the list and the least important one at the bottom. So there's may vary the ways, the methods to make a to-do list are very varied. This belongs to personal style. For example, with a task, you can mark it the most important, least important, and at the middle it can be important, or the top it can be urgent, to you to see the difference between the task. Or someone may use the letters A, B, C, or D to mark for the task, the work that they need to carry out, they need to finish. So the methods are very varied. It belong to your personal styles, what you want to do and what makes you feel the most comfortable. So the functions of a to-do list, you can see on the screen. First, it helps us to acknowledge the task. Yeah, it's clearly right, because we are just human. We cannot memorize everything when we have too many deadlines, too many tasks at the same time. You cannot memorize everything. So writing it down in one place helps you to make sure that you do not forget anything important. Next one is help you prioritize. Yes, and by prioritizing tasks effectively, you can see the order of them, and you can see that what needs your immediate attentions and what you can put until later to complete. The third one, it will have block out the distraction and have focused your mind on one thing. So if you prioritize intelligently, it will lead to this one, because when you prioritize, you will see the most important one, and you can use your time and your energy to complete it first and then turn to another one. You don't need to focus on a lot of things at the same time. Next one, the function of a to-do list is also about relieve the anxiety, because when you don't have to remember all of the tasks, you do not afraid that you forget something important. But when you just a thousand of my rustling in your brain that may I forget something? Have I not finished any task? So it's cause you stress and pressures, super stress and pressure. So it's not good for work. So a to-do list will help you to release the anxieties, the anxious feeling. Next one, it will serve a record of what you have accomplished in a given time frame. So this will lead to the process of self-assessment better. You can evaluate your own performance at the end of the week or the end of the month. Moving to the next point is we can free up the brain power to make us more creative and help us to break down the last task into smaller chunks. And it's always easy to deal with the smaller task instead of a complex and a lot of information in a big or a last task. So in conclusion, with a structure properly to-do list, if you have 2, 3, 4, or 5 deadlines at the same time, you will not get panic, because you know that you can handle it or handle them on deadline and not a problem if you have a proper to-do list. Having said so, it's not easy for an individual to stick to a to-do list, because it's something that you cannot achieve in 1 day, 1 week, or 2 weeks. It needs the effort, the persistence, and the patience as well. It needs a lot of things, because habits build up in a long time. It's not just a short time, and you can have a good habit for yourself. So to make a to-do list in specific, to achieve a good to-do list in specific, and to have the good habits in general, is on requires the patience, the persistence. So the third one, I would like to invite my partner, Ngọc Thảo, to take the stage to our next discussion, our next presentation point. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Hello everyone, good morning teacher, good morning everyone. Today I will be in charge with the rest of our presentation. So as you can heard from the beginning, that we are thinking of 2 good habits for working. That is be punctual, and then that is make to-do list. And the last one that we would like to mention in our presentation today, that is be critical thinking. So I think that this term is quite familiar with all of us. So from our point of view, we will present that why we think be critical thinking is important, is vital for us. First of all, be critical thinking can help us overcome the superficial thinking. And the next one, that is, it can help us overcome thinking based solely on intuition or biased thinking. Biased thinking here, we can understand that means we usually make the decision in respect of our feelings. And maybe sometimes we can ignore maybe the facts or something that we can use that like the evidence like that. And the next point, that is, it can help the individuals create questions and produces rigorous and disciplined thinking. And the last one is very important because B critical thinking can support not just the individual, but maybe that for the law student like us, that we can reinforce our problem solving skill. I can make an example like this now when we are just student and we are at the university. Maybe in the class we can see our critical thinking skill presented that when we make the question together, or maybe that when our lecturer asks us any question and we give our opinions, okay, we come up with some ideas. And not just by answering, when we don't understand or when we make the question, that's one of the way that we show or maybe we present our critical thinking. So critical thinking is very familiar, but by the way, it's not easy to practice. So that's the reason why after we research and we discuss, I think that there are some opinion that we would like to share with you that how we can practice our critical thinking. So first of all, to practice critical thinking, we think that we should foster generic argumentative skills. Foster here, that means we can encourage, okay? We need to encourage generic argumentative skills. And we think here that by that way, you are able to assess the open-ended, because sometimes we couldn't know that whether the fact whether the matter can be came with in, especially when we work that in the legal dispute, we cannot know that what will happen. So that's the reason why we need to encourage this skill to have to prepare, to have the well prepared for all the situation can be happened. And the next one, that we need to evaluate sources effectively, because this one can help us, how can I say, to gain the ability to determine the credibility and reliability of a fact, in order to determine its objective veracity. So veracity here we can understand is like the truth, because you know that sometime when we have like the arguments or maybe when we have the negotiation, uh, of course that we need the evidence, we need to base on some background, and of course that it need to be verified by uh, yeah, by some maybe organization like that. But however, we cannot avoid like some situation that the partner or maybe the other party or the other people, they will come up with some opinions, and we need to look at from all the objective perspective, not just one side. So that's the reason why veracity here we can understand that is about the fact instead of or the truth, instead of just like the biased thinking that I have mentioned in the last slide. And the last point that I would like to mention that is about the ability to self-reflect and change the stand based on the contrary evidence. I think we can practice this one by making a question, because making a question is one of the simplest way to practice this skill, because everyone will have their own opinions. So of course that we need to listen, we need to be understandable, but however we need to be aware of which one is the real fact, okay, which one is a fact and which one is the biased thinking or the feelings that we need to be consider about that before we use that as the evidence for and to explain or to deal with any legal problem or any dispute, to solve the dispute. So I think that according to three criteria that we present today, you can think of about the habit. To be honest, that habits are habits for a reason. Habits are right, habits are good. And of course, it's very tough for us to break the old habit and create a new one. For example, for during the COVID-19, the pandemic, that I usually stay up late and I usually get up at around 8 to 9 a.m. every morning. And that's the reason why I also don't have any to-do list because I think, okay, today I will stay home. I have all day to do all things. But I have a part-time job. I also need to study at university online like everyone here. And that's the reason why at the beginning of the pandemic, I felt super exotic, and sometimes I jump to the panic hole made by myself because I don't have any plans before and I don't have any habits. So that's the reason why I I decided to make maybe like the time or maybe the schedule for me by myself. For example, like not getting too late, not staying too up late, and try to get up early. And before I go to bed, I usually make a to-do list. For example, not just to detail, just some point that I would like to focus on the following day that I need to complete that. And if I have more time, I will do some other stuff, like for example, to entertain or yet maybe to for my part-time job like that. So one of the code that we really think that is really cool that great things are done by a series of small things brought together. And this code is made by Vincent van Gogh. This one is very familiar with you. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, teacher, and everyone for your listening. And now, if you have any question, we're so appreciate that. Thank you so much for listening to us.
Okay. Thank you very much for very fluent and good English of both of you. So now we will open floor for discussion. Any feedback, any questions and answers, please. Especially feedbacks, so that these presenters can improve themselves. Okay. So, volunteer. If not, I will call up someone for answering the questions, okay? Hảo Ngân, what do you think of the presentation?
I think they present very fluently, and I like the methods that they give to us, like they provide they suggest to make a to-do list or checklist to provide to improve habits and about the critical thinking. They give many suggestions to us. I feel it's very helpful.
Okay, you agree that these 3 habits are very meaningful and useful to your life?
Yes.
And you learn how to build them up, okay, from this presentation. Thank you, Ms. Thảo Ngân. What about the others? Do you have any questions? Raise your hand, okay? Yến, can I hear something from you? Yến, are you there? I remember that previous time I already called Yến once and she was not there. And this time again. Well, okay, Huỳnh Nga, go ahead.
Well, I just have a question because we all know that good habits will bring beneficial influence to our life. So, in your opinion, how long does it take to build a good habit? Like to have it consistently, constantly? How long? For how long?
Okay, so thank you, Yes, for the questions. So actually, I would say that we cannot define habits exactly. So I point out two definitions, but exactly with professional people, we cannot define habits. It's also a difficult task with them. So actually, the habits is something I think I say that you do it every day, days by days. And sometimes you may think you know what habits are, but in fact you don't. You don't know what they are in your life until someone tell you about that. So constantly and repeatedly is I can say that it's a way to build up habits, and a good habit to enhance to be in your daily life take to be, it's not a term that we can define or we can say exactly say at the but it's you can practice and you can achieve it in very long term. It they may answers because we cannot know what habits are, so the time to build up are very difficult to measure exactly. So thank you for that question.
Yeah, I would like to support my partner with a little bit information. I think that exactly a habit we can practice. And if you would like to ask about the duration, I think that it depends on what habit you would like to get. What bad habit you would like to break and what good habit you would like to create. For example, not staying up late and getting up early. I think that is not too hard for us. Maybe just 1 week, because we usually read many articles on Facebook or maybe social media, and they instruct that just get 1 week or maybe how can I say 14 days, and then we can have the new habit because it's not too hard. But for example, to be specific, for example, in legal field, if we would like to have like for example, like be critical thinking, especially about legal field like that, is we cannot say that it just take only 1 week or 2 weeks, because this one will depend on how long you will spend, the time that you spend on practicing, and the effort that you will put to have the effort. And especially I think that you need to have the goal to know that what target you would like to achieve, and it will be like, how can I say, it will be a scale, okay? And you would I think that we should separate them into small parts so that you can reach to step by step like that. But thank you so much for a really cool question.
Thank you for your sharing.
Okay, I do agree that there is no general time schedule for each of us to build up good habits. We define it as a habit when we unintentionally repeat such an actions or behavior unintentionally. So during the time that you still keep intention, yeah, you have to note yourself that today you have to do something, right? Intentionally wake up at that time, because you cannot automatically wake up at that time. It's still not habit. It's still not something under your plan or something you are taken with intention. So therefore, something automatically runs through your mind and your body, it should become a habit. So therefore, really for most of habits, it takes a very long time. Maybe when you were still young, you need to build up. And I believe that parents help their children to build up many good habits for their life, like keeping yourself clean every morning. When you wake up, you jump into the bathroom in order to brush your teeth and wash your face. That is a good habit, isn't it? And it has to be repeated every day without intention. When every time you wake up, if you didn't do it, you feel very difficult to continue your day. So that kind of habit is very difficult to build, long time, even years, many years. And sometimes people have good habits already, and then they suddenly break it up because of some circumstances, unexpected circumstances happened. And then it's hard for them to start their habits again. It's not easy. Okay, so what else? If not, I would like to give some of my feedbacks to this group presentation, okay? First of all, the PowerPoint design. We have a very clear design. So first of all, before beautiful design, clear, well organized is very important for me. So therefore, you have a very good PowerPoint design, including clearly organized structure and as well as beautiful images, clear points. Each of the slides have very clear points. So it shows that you are a logical thinking people, okay? And the second thing is that your English, really nice to hear you, and it's very clear too. What else? The ideas. You pick up the right issues to present with us. So thank you very much for your presentation. And now we would like to welcome another group to present a topic about bad habits.
Yeah, thank you so much, teacher.
Thank you. What about bad habits?
Yes, it's our group.
Okay, darling.
Okay. So today my group presentation about the bad habits, especially with the lawyer, because I think it is important to know about the people we work with in the future, and it's also support to our career. So there is some opinions about bad habits which lawyer need to break. And let's get started. This is my table of content. I will present 4 bad habits that lawyers need to break. The first one is negligence. The second one is unable to control the emotion. The third one is lateness, and the fourth one is lack of communication. So first of all is the presentation of Hỷ Long.
Okay, so there are many common bad habits of lawyers that will be covered, but we will gather them and divide them into 4 main groups to make it easy for everyone to follow. As Thảo has told you guys, which are negligence, lateness, emotional control, and lack of communication. Yeah. Besides, I would like to give you guys some something about our presentation. Besides talking about those bad habits, we are going to suggest some tips or works to break those habits. With negligence and lateness, I will be the presenter, and then Thảo will take responsible for talking about the 2 other groups. Yeah. So I will start with negligence. But first of all, I would like to hear some opinion of you guys. Which habit do you think is considered as negligence? Yeah. Anyone volunteer? If not, I will call someone. Hồng Ngọc, can you share your opinion about my question? Yeah, yes. Okay, so yeah, I agree with your opinion. So in this group, we will show three most common habits of lawyer, which are considered as negligence. The first one, as you can see on the screen, is mishandling lawsuits. Um, to go further into this habit, in fact, there are many lawyers who fails to file the claim within a statute of limitations constantly, or wrongly assesses the amount of compensation and attempts to claim the wrong types of damages so often that is considered as bad habit. Yeah, like the second habit of this group is that they don't contact or communicate to inform. As you can see on the screen, that is values of communications, such as not communicating settlement offers, not communicating dates on your claim, that are misleading, and failing to properly notify the defendant of the claim, yet like after a lawsuit have been filed. Yeah, and the last habit in this group to mention is ethical breaches. Yeah, like this habit includes overcharging for services, settling the claim without the consent, and missing misusing clients' money. Yes, I'm sorry. So, in cases where the negligence of a lawyer results in the serious injury for clients, that lawyer has to compensate for the damages which their client has suffered. This one, yeah, like also destroys a lawyer's reputation, and after that, mm, I believe that no one wants to hire them anymore. Yeah. But anyway, there are a few ways or works to get rid of these bad work habits. Uh, the first one I want to mention here is making detailed file notes. As a lawyer, sometimes you have to rush from meeting to meeting, so it's good for you to take file notes while they are still fresh in your mind. Extremely, you should pay attention on what you are searching in legal advice. Yeah, so the second point or the second tip here is confirming conversation or instructions in writing. When you just have a meeting or call with clients where advice have been discussed and instruction provided and or a decision made, you must immediately put that discussion in writing or email. This tip provides confirmation for the client and the protection for you as a lawyer. Yeah. But I have to say that this way mainly help lawyers to be able to eliminate the habit of negligence if it is the result of lack of preparation and attention in work. But if it's from a moral issue, they need to receive retribution. Retribution. I'm sorry, retribution. I mean, in Vietnamese, that is quả báo, yeah, or something bad to change their habit, their mind, I believe. So now, I would like to move to the second habit, second group here. That is laziness. So, before talking about this habit, I would like to hear some opinion about this habit because I think this is the most common habit in of students, not only lawyers. Yeah. What do you think about this bad habit? Anyone can share your opinion first. Me volunteer. Okay, I can see your hand, Uyển Nhi. Can you talk?
Yes, in my opinion, lateness is the fact of happening or arriving after the plan. And lateness is a bad habit of many people, not just for lawyers.
Yeah. Thank you, Uyển Nhi. I have the same view as Uyển Nhi. I believe that this is not only the bad habit of lawyers, but also the problem of our employees and students. Yes. Just imagine that, like, you have an appointment with a client, and this is an unprofessional behavior if you are late or like make your client wait for a long time. Yeah, they will feel upset. Okay, so as a lawyer, we will be very busy with a lot of paperwork and documents. We spend most of our time researching and gathering information for clients' cases. This sometimes make us like to be late for some appointments, meetings with client or someone because of forgetting the time. However, letting it become a habit is not good at all. You know, for the cases of forgetting the schedule leading to lateness, lawyers can create a to-do list as the previous group to mention. Yeah, you can create a to-do list and practice fulfilling the things you have to do for the day, for the week, or for month. Regularly update them to be able to check whenever you want. This requires continuous doing to be able to maintain this habit and get up the habit of being late. Okay, so now we will find out the remaining two habit groups with Thảo Linh. Thảo Linh, it's your turn.
So next we will go through the third bad habit is about unable to control the emotions. You know, emotion is very important because not only the lawyer and also the normal people can hard to control the emotions. The lawyer have to face multiple stressors every day, and in addition to the pressure of helping clients through important or difficult legal matters, they also have to stay on top of the ever-changing industry and manage heavy workloads. That's why this is the reason explain why lawyers always feel hard to control the feeling and sometimes be in bad temper. And you know that anxious is the key factor to ruin the family and also the friends relationship too. So some lawyers have the bad habit as a devil advocate. By nature, the lawyer tend to be argumentative. It's often the very basis of daily work. However, we have to remember that not all conversation are an argument waiting to be won. Sometimes friends and family just want is have someone to listen them, agree with them, and comfort them. This is not only a case to be a guilt or a problems to be solved. Let's start working on our emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence, that is the crucially important skill that you have to learn when you want to become the professional lawyer. So what emotional skills can the lawyer develop and what advantage would this offer? I offer you have to develop 4 emotional skills. The first one is self-awareness. The second one is emotional expressions. The third one is self-regulation. And the last one is empathy. Let's moving on to the first one, self-awareness. The skills is part of learning how to be a good lawyer and involves identifying the emotions you feel, naming them, and recognizing the message that they convey. Lawyers who realize the importance of emotional intelligence, are aware of the emotion, will be capable of receiving and learning from the constructive criticisms of their co-worker and customers, and will not react with anger when they feel guilty or with sadness and resignation when they feel disappointed. So the second one is emotional expressions. If you can recognize the emotions you feel, the next step is to be consistent in expressing them, both verbally and physically. To do so, you have to keep in mind that more than 90% of communication is nonverbal. That's why you have to focus on concentrate on the behavior. When you face to the judge, you face to the customer, the client, and also the person who you are communicating with. You convey message through your body, gesture, the voice, and the tone. The third one is self-regulation. The skills is very important because if you wish to learn how to be a good liar, there will be the time when you are aware of what is happening yet. It will not be appropriate or beneficial to express your emotions. For liars, this will allow them to express themselves calmly in difficult situations and enable them to think about the anticipate the information being presented without denying it. And of course, it will also allow them to celebrate the successes with happiness, not just relief. And the last one, the last but not least, is empathy. This one is the best known skills for the lawyer and is usually defined as the ability to understand others and put yourself in their shoes. Lawyers with a degree of empathy establish better connections and are more aware of needs, concerns, and priorities. This allows them to make better decisions and give the better advice for their client. So moving to the last part of our presentation is the lack of communication. The lack of communication we mentioned before in the part of negligence. The obligation of the lawyer is listening to the client and give them an advice in emergency situation. Therefore, the lawyer always have to keep in touch with the client. And the lawyer who ignore their clients should not work in the law field because they have to have a duty to their client, and the lack of communication is the tremendous issue that should be punished and resolved. However, we not just have to work in the daily life, we have to communicate with the friends and spend time with your family, right? Therefore, in not every situation, we have to reply the phone call or messenger immediately. The technology that allow us to contactable all day. However, it also allow us to leave detailed message and forward our calls. Or remember that mobiles come with the silent mode too. I know it's hard to keep the balance between your work and also your normal life. Allowing yourself some technology free, some rest in your life is not only good for your stress level, but it also demonstrates for the free time to your friends, family, clients, cultures, that you respect them enough to focus on them, not your phones, not only your work. So thank you for listening. That's all my presentation. Have a good day.
Okay, thank you. Now again, we open floor for feedbacks and discussion. Okay.
If anyone have question, feel free to ask them. Ask us.
Yeah, don't be scared of Long and Thảo Linh. Raise as many questions as you can. San, please. San, what is your full name? Shang, is it?
Sorry. Let me rename myself.
Okay, rename yourself so that I know and I mark your participation. Okay. Go ahead, Shang.
Yes, I have a question for this group. So could you give some like ideas related to the causes leading to those negative habits? Like, for example, why people usually tend to be unpunctual for their work or for their deadline? Yeah, that's my question.
Okay, thanks, Sang. You questions about the lateness, right? The cost, how to reduce the lateness or something?
No, I mean, why people usually like be punctual, like tend to be unpunctual for their deadline or for their work. Like, I want to know the reason or the causes that lead to those negative habits.
Okay, I understand you. Because you know that the lawyer have to work with tons of work in the day, the workloads. They have the tons of workloads every day, and they have to communicate with a lot of person. So therefore, they usually forget the deadline and usually forget the assignment if they don't carefully note it in the Google Calendar. Nowadays, we have to use some kind of technologies like Google Calendar. You know that the Notion is very popular nowadays. Therefore, the younger is kind of easier to approach to that novel technology, but with the older people, they feel hard to remember everything because they have to draft the contract, they have to make the meeting with another people, and yes, another work beside that. It's hard to remember everything without the assist of another people, paralegal, for example.
Yes,
Okay,
I would like. I would like to add some opinion in our member. So like I think this relating the personality to because like there are many people who always think that it's too early to do something, and when it comes to the deadline they are very stuck and they feel tired of to do something. But they always do that. They don't think about the results. They just think about it's too early. We can do it the next day or the next week, and they keep it, and yes, like it's become a bad habit of them. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's called procrastination.
I agree with Shang too. In addition to the objective reasons, like Ling already mentions, that busy people, a lot of works have to be done before deadlines. And therefore, with the limitations of memorizing capacity, they may miss some deadlines out. Therefore, they was not punctual. But in fact, it's still a problem with personality and subjective reasons as well, the way they think. Maybe some people would like to leave the things until the last minute, but for me, I often do it in advance so that I keep a kind of a space for me myself to fix up if there are some problems occur or there are some unexpected events that prevent me myself from completing the task. And therefore, it is also including the subjective reasons, not only objective, right, Linh?
Yeah. Thank you, teacher.
Yeah, we have Vũ Hà Trang. Hà Trang. Trang, would you like to share something or raise some questions? What else, Trang?
I have a question for this group teacher.
Okay, please go ahead.
So I have a question for you that in your representation, I see you said that empathy is an important skill or something like that, right? And
Yes.
yes. So in the case that when the lawyer defend for your client who have a serious violation like his murder or pedophile, so does the lawyer need to show empathy for that client? You understand your my question?
Yes, I understand.
Okay.
Because I think all people have a right to live. All people have a right to defend for themselves. That's why we have the lawyer to defend for another people, right? The empathy is very important because not every murder have committed the crimes by their intentional, because some people have their own reasons to do that, but they cannot express them for some another reasons, and the responsibility of the lawyer is find out that reasons to help the lawyer and express them with the judge, find the reason, find the resolution for them, and help them to have the opportunity to fix their problems, to fix their crime. I think so.
Okay. So it shows you don't show empathy for the victim.
Now we have more responsible with the client. We just
yes.
so they
Wait.
with a lot of people in that court.
Yes, but if you show empathy for your client and you find opportunity for them, but you don't show empathy for the victim. I think that the victim is
Yes,
Yes.
I know your idea, but I think when you accept this job, you have to accept the pros and cons, the pros and cons, the advantage and disadvantage of this job too. You cannot show empathy for also your client and also the victim of that situation. You have to defend your client first, and after that is another person.
Okay, thanks for your sharing.
Okay, may I jump into your discussion a little bit?
Okay, teacher.
Yeah, I would like to share my agreement with some of the points mentioned by Linh, and I would like to share some of my agreements with Jan also. Because if you stand for one side, you would like to defend your clients, you would like to protect their rights and obligations, you need to understand them. You need them to believe in you, to trust you in order to just transfer all of the defense of their rights and obligations over to you. That is your task, isn't it? So in order to complete that task with the most efficiency, so you have to make the understanding between you and your clients via empathy. Okay, that's empathy. It's just one way of doing it. But on the other hand, if you present your clients in front of the court, if you show your empathy there, not the empathy to the victim, you should be careful of yourself, because you have to know where to present your empathy properly. Maybe within the private connections or contact with your clients, you show your empathy with him. But in front of the court, it is not wise to do it. And sometimes even to cause the disconnections between you and the judge. Maybe the judge said that in this case, the victims were so poor and the crime is so serious. And you should share the empathy to the victim so that you know some of the litigation or mitigation circumstances. Một số các tình tiết giảm nhẹ, mitigation or litigation circumstances. That is one of the compensation from the criminals. The ăn năn hối cải, right? Kind of, I don't know the English word for ăn năn hối cải. Someone help me. That is the showing of yourself, kind of recognize your fault. So it would help the judge to reduce the criminal's liability. Repent, or repent. Where is the stress? Repent. I will check it out. Okay, that word. But anyway, I would like to mention 2 points. The empathy with your clients is important. The empathy with the victims as well is important too. And you have to be careful where and when to present your empathy, okay? With your clients, it's good when you work with them. But in front of the court, you have to evaluate the situation. Yeah, some lawyers have to present the empathy to victims in front of the courtroom. I was in one of the cases that the drivers, their car was crashed and 5 people was died. And therefore the lawyers who defends the opposing parties have to show the empathy with 5 deaths of the victims. So that is a good way to show. And that is the human sense, normal human sense. When, well, we have empathy with the victims, it's very normal. Even you are in the other side, okay? that's one of the points I would like to share. And now I see Vinny raise her hand. So Vinny, go ahead.
I have a question.
Okay, thank you, Vinny. Repent. Vinny, go ahead.
Yes, I have questions. And do the crucial tips you have mentioned above work quickly and effectively?
Okay, so I get Nhi question. Yes, thanks for your question. Yeah, like as you know, to build up a bad habit is kind of easy, but to break it is very hard. Yeah, I'm not sure when we can break those mentioned bad habits with our suggested tips and works, but I just believe that if we practice and do this constantly, do this day by day without any delay, we can break it. Like the previous group said, it is similar to build up a good habits. Um, it needs time and needs our patience. Yeah, I believe. Yeah, okay.
You need to have a very strong will in order to kill bad habits. Very strong will. Strong will. What else? I've seen Mati raise his hand.
Yes. In
Go
the
ahead.
presentation, there are 2 points that your group has already mentioned, which are unable to control the emotion, and the last one is lack of communication. But in my perspective, it would be suitable to call as a difficulty while working. I'm not sure I fully understand the voice. So could you guys explain why you as this boy as bad habits?
You questions about the part lack of communication, right?
Yes, and unable to control the emotion because I feel it will be difficulties.
You feel that difficulty because some people you like they so addicted with your mobile phones, your some device, and forget the time with the family. Know that, and therefore they also to focus on their mobile phones and their clients, their work, and they forget to spend time with the family and friends. That is the one reason. And the second reason why I think this is the bad habit, because some lawyer, they have a lot of things to do, and they sometimes forget to reply the email and reply your messenger instance immediately. That is the bad habit of myself too. I rarely to check the messenger, and I rarely to check the email too, because there are some notification, you know that, and I feel this very like they sometimes give me the bad news, and I feel like so complicated to control all of the information that I receive. So I think this is the bad habit of not control the messenger and not reply the messenger of the client immediately.
You mean you can send more personal affair, and so you can put 100% on your work, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I get the point. Thank you.
Yes.
I would like to add some information here. Lack of communication can also mean that you don't communicate and update regularly with your clients or people who are related to your work. This makes them unable to follow the cases, and also you cannot update new information, rising information to help your work to better your claim and your like argument. Yes.
Yes, or sometimes you receive a lot of clients and you cannot control the time you share to each client. And that's lead to the problem that you can not reply them immediately and you cannot focus on a lot of workload that you have to solve, and you have to give the advice for your client.
Okay, I think that if you agree, we will stop here for presentations. Okay, I would like to share some of my points regarding your presentation. You also have another very beautiful style of PowerPoint design. This is kind of sweet to see your slides and also quite clear, well organized. Yeah. However, Hy Lam, you need to improve your English a little bit more, because when you present, in order to draw attention from the audience, you need to present it smoother. Okay. Try to emphasize and use your tone in a better way. Hy Lam, do you agree with me that you seem
Yes,
not very confident and memorizing things that you would like to present, and therefore we feel a little bit of lack of confidence in your presentation. And that is not the one thing that I would like to give the feedback to you. Now, Lynn's English is really nice, right? She can be very flexible in terms of using her language. Good. So now, thank you to groups. I would like to return to my share screen, okay? Okay. So we already finished at the art of legal reasoning. And now we come to effective legal reasoning. But before that, I would like to give the question to the group of our presenters. Can you instruct me how to change the appearance of the mouse here, like an arrow, into a circle like you use it in your presentation? How can I change it? Làm thế nào để chuyển con chuột cô thành cái chấm tròn tròn như các em vậy?
Yes, miss, because when we made the PowerPoint, we created that on the Canva. Canva is like a website you can make the PowerPoint. So when we present on Canva website, we don't see the error, but we like the button, the circle like that, like you have seen.
Okay, can you write down the
of course. Yeah.
Okay, so we have to create our slide in that website, but I created this slide already and you cannot adjust it, isn't it?
Yeah, I have typed the name of the website, Canva.
Okay. Right. Thank you. So now we would like to focus on effective legal writing style. And you know that legal writing style is a little bit different from, or maybe sometimes much different from literature. Văn học là gì? Nhưng có bắt ông được literature, right? Okay, different from love storytelling, very different. And therefore, you see that some people have very good writing in general, but they face with difficulties in giving a good piece of legal writing. So therefore, in general, legal writing is very similar to academic writing. Okay, so now I would like you to remember your experience. You read a lot. I believe that. And can you tell me what criteria for good writing criteria? Have I discussed with you this part?
Yes, Miss. Now we come to the section for paraphrase.
Okay. Paraphrasing.
Paraphrase.
Yeah, paraphrasing. Sometimes we have a problem with pronouncing, isn't it? Okay, you already make these kind of examples, right? So now we come to paragraphing, okay? Of course, you will feel exhausted if you read a 3 or 4 pages long of the paper without breaking, okay? From the beginning to the end, without breaking into paragraphs. And therefore, paragraphing is very important. Do you agree with me of this point? If yes, raise your hand. Sentencing, making sentence, and also making paragraphs. Very important to give the audience the breadth, but not only the breadth. Later on, we will discuss about the importance of paragraphing. Only 8 persons agree with me that paragraphing is important. I would like to ask the others who didn't consider paragraphing is important. Okay. Okay, Hoàng Yến, Quang Minh. Okay, these 2 guys didn't agree with us.
Yes, Miss.
Don't you think that paragraphing is important in writing? Now, many other people raise hands. Quang Minh.
Yes, Miss.
Why don't you agree that paragraphing is important to our writing?
I'm sorry, Miss. I missed the latest lesson, so I cannot get the idea of paragraphing. So I don't bring
paragraphing. It means that you break your paper into paragraphs like this, right? You have the 1 page long, and you didn't write it continuously, but you break it into 3 paragraphs here, for example, in this paper. And on another side of the paper here, the author break their writing into paragraphs. Now, do you get the point?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you think that paragraphing is important in writing?
Yes, I think it is important in writing because in a document there are several parts, so we have to cut these part into the paragraphs, so the audience is easy to follow the idea of the writing of the document.
Okay, thank you. Lower all of the hands, please. Now I got 21 persons, so I suppose that the other 8 were somewhere. Now, Quang Minh just mentioned one reason for us to break our paper into paragraphs because we would like the audience to break, right? To have the time to breathe and pauses a little bit. Second thing is that to let them understand the paper is organized into different parts. Generally, there are 3 parts, isn't it? That is the introduction, the body, and the conclusion. And you know that sometimes even within the body parts, you still break it into many paragraphs. So there are the functions of the paragraphs, not only to give breaks, not only to divide the paper into 3 parts, including introduction, body, and conclusion, so that the audience can easily follow the parts of your writing. What else? What else is the importance of paragraphing?
Okay, let me see.
If you haven't got points, I will call up the order, okay? Thiệu Sang. There are 4 persons still keep their hands raised.
In my belief, I feel that because one paragraph should include a maximum of 1 main idea. So like it will help the reader easily comprehend on what you want to express. So like if there are too many main points in one paragraph, it will be not considered as a well-organized writing style. So,
right, okay, good. For the audience, one paragraph mainly contains 1 key point. And therefore, in order to provide it, the paper into paragraphs, you keep yourself disciplined. When you want to share 1 point of view, you have to finish that before you jump up into another paragraph. You keep yourself disciplined within your writing, right? You don't make it trade with that man, scattered or some kinds of mix up, but you keep yourself disciplined, and that helps the audience to be easier in catching your points. That's good. Very good point, Thiệu Sang. And therefore, here also the way that we categorize or we breaking our paper into paragraphs. For example, the same ideas. You see, sometimes up to me to divide it into 3 paragraphs and up to Thiệu Sang to divide it into 2 paragraphs, or Kim Phụng may divide it, the same paper into 4 paragraphs. Is it?
Yes.
Yeah. So I wonder, is there any criteria for us to breaking the paragraphs, or it's up to you? Would you prefer to break it into 2 paragraphs? That is up to you. And it's up to me to break it into 3. Or there are some rules, there are some acceptable rules for breaking the paragraph.
According to what I have learned when I was previous before, I usually divide paragraph based on their idea and the structure of the essay. Like I have the introduction, the content, and the conclusion. That means I have 3 different sections. So that I have 3 main paragraph.
3 sections, but even within the introductions, you have 2 paragraphs. And even within the body sections, you have many paragraphs, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Paragraphs are different from parts of your paper, different from your sections, right? The sections of your paper. Because within one introductions, you have many paragraphs. Can you see that?
Yes.
Right.
Yes. I divide into paragraph based on the idea. Yes, the idea of it. Because I don't wanna to elapse the idea of each other's. Like I guess was like cutting paragraph have made it easy to determine what I
But
was
when
saying
you
in one
cut
paragraph.
it, for example, when you cut it, I would like to cut it here, or I would like to cut it here, right? I put a cut here. So how can you cut? You have the rules for when to cut the new paragraph, right? Cut off the paragraph and make a new one. There must be a rule,
Yes.
right? It's not, right? Khi nào thì các em chia đoạn văn nào? Chứ không lẽ tùy ý, không lẽ chỗ này cô chia cái đoạn nhỏ, trên này cô chia đôi nữa hả? Được không? Được chứ, nhưng mà khi nào được, khi nào không?
Bình thường là em chia đoạn là em viết văn, em chia đoạn một đoạn nó sẽ có các yếu tố là mở đoạn, rồi là luận cứ và lại kết luận của cái đoạn đó.
Không, cái đó là internal structure. Cái cấu trúc bên trong nó phải có topic sentence, nó phải có supportive sentence to explain the ideas and then the minor conclusion. That is the internal structure of paragraph. Cái vụ nói là cấu tạo bên trong của một đoạn văn thì nó sẽ có topic sentence này, sau đó nó sẽ có supportive, đúng không? Sau đó nó sẽ có minor conclusion của cái đoạn đó nếu được, đúng không nào? Nhưng thường thường nó sẽ có hai cái phần chính, đó là topic sentence và supportive sentence. That explaining, that's reasoning, that giving the examples or proof or evidences for the support the topic sentence, right? But I don't ask you about the internal structure. I ask you when you break up the paper into paragraphs. Cô đang hỏi các em là tiêu chí chia đoạn. Bởi vì nếu không, cùng một cái tờ giấy như thế này, cùng một cái ý chính như thế này, có người chia 3 đoạn, có người chia 2 đoạn. Có những trường hợp cái việc chia của họ chấp nhận luôn, ok luôn á. Được không? Các em rất là tốt luôn. Không có gì sai trái trong cái việc chia 3 đoạn hoặc 2 đoạn. Tuy nhiên cái cách chia nó phải có căn cứ. Nó phải có căn cứ hợp lý. Hồi nãy Thiệu Sang có nói, Thiệu Sang nói lại cho cô nghe coi. Thiệu Sang có ý á.
Yes, as I mentioned before, so each paragraph should discuss just one main idea.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
If you finish one main idea, you can break up it into another paragraphs. That's right. Oh, and the others, you have to notice that. Each paragraph, even it is long or short, it have to present one main idea completely. Okay? Khi các em đã chia nó thành một đoạn thì mỗi đoạn sẽ thể hiện được đầy đủ một ý. Okay. So now I continue with the second question. So why this paper is divided into 3 paragraphs are okay, but even when it is divided into 2 paragraphs, it's also okay. So I left you to think at home. We stop the class here, and next time we will continue with this, with paragraphing, okay? See you next time. When is it? Tomorrow morning? Is it?
Yes, it's tomorrow morning.
The first section, right?
Yes.
Thank you. See you tomorrow.